What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Variant the Podcast. I'm Arris with Tim Conley.
That's me, Tim Connolly. Welcome to Variant the Podcast. Arris, what's up? Good morning, Variant Nation. Well, I shouldn't say good morning because it might not be morning for
when they're listening, yeah. But what I have to say is Hakuna Matata, because you're wearing a shirt that says Hakuna
right.
Matata.
You know what I mean? It's no worries.
It means no worries for the rest of your days.
For the rest of your days.
But Tim, before we got on here, I just showed you a brand new image of Koken,
That's
character
correct.
that I co-created for
That's
Astonishing
correct.
Times. And I'm very excited about it, Tim.
It is a beautiful image.
It is.
It's actually very
colored.
Cool. Rory did a really good job on that.
He's killing it. Like every time he's like, I'm gonna draw some more Astonishing Times stuff. I'm like, yes, yes, more.
Need more.
It looks like it'll be a dope variant cover. That I'm sure they'll all see it soon enough. We're gonna post it, eventually on the channel.
Yes, we've got some really cool stuff coming. So you
yes,
guys are gonna be seeing a lot more here in the next few weeks as we continue to press on towards the release of issue number 1. How are you feeling, by the way? We're a couple of weeks in the books of responses from the audience and from the fan base, and everybody's starting
It's crazy. The announcement video is still gaining traction too.
Yeah.
It's still getting a good amount of clicks. So it's crazy. And all of it's I won't say all of it, but definitely most of it.
Mm-hmm.
I would say even go as far as say 90% of every comment is extremely positive.
Super, super positive.
Yeah. So I'm very excited, but also I feel like the pressure's on. I told you, I'm like, I can't let him down. We can't let him down. None of us can let him down.
I think everybody's going to do their absolute best. And if that's not good enough, Dad.
No, but for those of you who don't know, Astonishing Times is a book that I co-wrote and created, and it's available for pre-order via Comixology.
Right now. You can find the link in the description of this podcast. So if you haven't already, go check it out. You can see actually the announcement video as well. The link is all of our videos and everything it's always going to be there from here until the release of the first book. I make sure it's in every single episode so people can jump on that and be aware of what's going on. I'm
excited to do the behind the scenes stuff that we're going to get ready to record soon, where we'll give them the Variant Nation a sneak peek, of, so to speak, what went into the creation of the book and characters.
Yeah. There's a few things we're going to be doing. So I would say over the next where are we at? We're 5 weeks out roughly. Yeah, a little dry heaving. So over the next 4 to 5 weeks, we're gonna be rolling out to you guys some really cool inside looks, as we promised,
for sure,
to Astonishing Times, including conversations with Arris and Frank and the rest of and Rory and the entire creative team about what went into this book and why this story, why now.
Get into our minds.
That's right. I'm gonna wormhole right into the core of their brains and see what I can root out for you guys.
So why superheroes? Well, it was a rainy night.
It was a dark and rainy night. We were so lonely.
We were on the couch.
It was a warm fire.
Yeah. We both have significant others, so what should we do? We'll write a comic.
But you guys are feeling good?
Yes, I'm very excited / nervous in the sense that it's just because you're putting yourself out there, right? This is something not solely, but collectively, this is all from our brain, right? There's no one. What I'm saying is, there's no one else to blame but ourselves,
right?
With this,
so if this goes down in a ball of flame.
Where it's if I don't like a movie or whatever, it's fine, whatever. I didn't have nothing to do with it. But now I'm on the other end of it, where it's oh man, well, you didn't like the decision, we made there. Well, I'm sorry.
I can't wait to come on here after the first book drops and do a review right in front of you.
Yeah, and it's one of those
just sweating beads of blood.
And it's one of those things too, even no matter how good it's received or whatnot, not everyone's gonna like it. That's impossible. Extremely successful stuff Avengers Endgame, just the MCU in general, one of the most successful fan-loved things in the world. Yeah. But there's some people who hate it.
Oh, yeah.
So it's I'm getting myself in that mind space where it's you're never going to please everyone already. So as long as you get the majority, that's what you got to aim for.
I would say as a creator, you never even want to think of it that way in terms of getting a majority. It's just I'm making this, for superhero fans. In this case, I'm making this for fans of the superhero genre, right? And there's going to be people that like it and they hate it, and just don't apply a majority or minority to it. And just know that there's going to be people that like it and there's going to be people that don't. And, in my opinion, I think that this is going to be well received, but again, that's just my opinion. It might not.
Yeah.
It's like the roll of the dice. Whenever you create anything, right? Like you just hope for the best and hope it's going to appeal broadly.
I would think so too, but it's one of those things. Being on the Senate, I never want to be the one be like, yeah, I think everyone's gonna love it. I mean,
Well, yeah, you can't say that. I can say that because it's not mine.
But like I've been saying, I think we definitely did it's something I would read, and that we obviously everything we would read, and if your taste aligns with mine or anything like that, I would think in that vein you would enjoy it and like it.
The thing that I think is going to be really fun to see as it rolls out is this is something brand new, and it really is the beginning of something.
Oh, for sure, sure.
So it's going to be really fun to see fans adopt that and kind of dig deeper into the story and figure out and learn more, even as we kind of delve into the characters themselves a little bit deeper here on the show.
Yeah.
And because one of the things that we are going to want to do, and for those of you who are listeners to the podcast, you're the first ones to hear this, one of the things we do want to do is as the issues roll out, we want to do a kind of an overview of the book. A few days after the book drops and after people have had a chance to go and read it for themselves and things like that.
Without giving too much away.
Without giving too much away, but talk a little bit about like what went into that particular book and why certain things happened in the story and stuff like that. And when there's spoilers, we'll say there's spoilers and all that stuff. So you don't want it ruined for you.
It's really interesting again to be, because for me this is my comic writing debut, so it's like interesting to be on this side of it.
Yeah.
It's a dream come true. It's awesome, but it's like, it's like nerve-wracking. So
now you got to have all the answers.
Yeah.
And if you don't, people are going to be like, wait a minute, is this a lost situation?
So, hey, whatever I say is canon because I'm one of the co-creators.
That's right.
It's right.
Just feeling differently about something one day and you change the whole course of the comic accidentally.
Multiverse.
Well, now we got to write it into something because I said it.
You know how many times this actually happened to creators and it was like a happy accident that they did that because they actually said something, so they had to make it
pin
canon.
yourself into a corner.
Yeah, they're like, dang it, but it worked out in their favor.
Yeah, come up with a good idea on the spot.
It's like, oh, that is good.
I'll work that into the next series. But yeah, that's exciting, man.
Yeah, soon, very, very, very soon.
That's right.
In the world, I'm very curious to see the fan theories. That's going to be interesting to have all the answers and know where it's going. Because the people are already guessing just from the teaser trailer, and that's that was just a very minute it's a teaser trailer bit of like the story. So I'm curious to see once they start reading the first issue, which is extra size and it sets up the world and all that words I don't want to say, give things away, where it goes from here.
Well, July 27th, everybody, that's when issue 1 of Astonishing Times drops officially on Comixology. It is a Comixology original.
Yes.
So it will be digital only initially, and then later down the line, it will be releasing in physical print form under Dark Horse Comics in trade paperback, which that'll be exciting. Like I'll tell you when it'll get real, though. The first time we see, especially you, Frank, and stuff, when we see someone cosplay one of the characters.
Oh my God. I didn't even think of that. Can you imagine if someone does that?
That's when it's going to get real.
Like seeing
that this is something that exists in nerddom now, and geekdom.
Like a Infinite running around or Koken or something.
Koken. I can see Koken already. Like someone just decked out as Koken.
And that would be, you would have to put some work into that costume too. Because that's one of the most detailed designs in the book.
And that'll also be like, that'll be when it gets real.
That'd be nuts.
It's like a surreal moment, a genuinely surreal moment, but also like probably one of the most, that's a tear-wrenching moment, right? Because it's like, they love it. They do like it.
Or even going to the comic book store and getting the physical copy of it is weird. It's like, oh, wow, there's something in stores that has my name on it that anyone around the country can buy. That's weird.
Unless they accidentally leave your name off, that would be a shame.
But anyway, that's a thing, and we'll be talking about it more and more. Actually, probably through the end of the year, because we're gonna have issues come out.
We're gonna continue to cover it as the issues roll out, as we promised. So it's gonna be an ongoing thing that we're gonna be. You guys are gonna be. I'm excited, kind of in the front row.
Yes.
Of the release of this thing as it rolls out, and also be a part of kind of an intimate conversation about this entire storyline. So it's going to be very fun. It's going to be a fun group party, I guess, amongst the Variant Nation, all of us here.
I'm so excited for cons again, because that was one of the big bummers. We talked about a few podcasts ago that we were supposed to announce this at the 2020 San Diego Comic-Con. but you know, better late than never, I guess. So once cons start coming up towards the end of this year, beginning of next, we get to start going and promoting and talking about it and stuff like that in person and interact with, you know, everyone. That's what I'm like, one of the things I'm most excited about. To like interact and talk about, you know, the characters with everyone who's interested.
We'll see how all that rolls out, because with the cons, there's so much up in the air with the cons still.
Yeah. But anyway, to today's topics.
On to the topics.
So this past weekend was Father's Day weekend, so we were both extremely busy because we're both fathers.
Did you have a good Father's Day?
I did. My 4-year-old made me this bracelet, and it was adorable. Like my wife was telling me, she was like even trying to like measure it out and make sure it's like, is it gonna fit on Daddy's wrist? Like, is it long enough? And then she picked a theme because my daughter loves Baby Yoda.
Yeah,
she's obsessed like with Baby Yoda, and now just that's kind of working into Star Wars in general with lightsabers and everything. But anyway, on our Disney Plus account, my little avatar picture is Mando, the Mandalorian, and hers is Baby Yoda.
Right.
So she always says, I'm Baby Yoda and you're Mando. So when my wife took her to go get stuff, it became Star Wars themed, and she picked out like a bounty hunter shirt for me, a Mandalorian shirt for me. It just has his helmet on it, and it says bounty hunter. And she was very persistent that Daddy had to get that shirt, so much so they didn't have it in my size, but she's like, no, we have to get it. So my wife had to get it and then order the size online just so I had something, like, you know what I mean? Cute. Just so she's like, no, we can't leave it. We have to get it for Daddy. And then like this LED like Death Star light thing lamp. I showed you.
Okay, you brought it in this morning,
Yeah, and then we went out to dinner and stuff like that. And it was nice. It was a nice, relaxing Father's Day.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
How about yourself?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, we were together on Saturday.
We were.
Yeah, we had a little party on Saturday, so we were together. But Sunday was, as you know, it has been a wallop over the last 2 weeks, and some of my longer hours caught up to me over the weekend. So by Sunday morning, I told it because I had this tree problem that I've told you about, where I have this tree in the front of my house.
What happened with it though?
Yeah. So I had a tree in front of my house that the branches just keep falling off. Turns out it's called a pear tree. Turns out they're like really weak trees. I'm not going to bore everybody with the details about trees. But anyway, so the only day this guy could come out to tell me what I need to do about this tree that's falling apart, and it's a big tree. It's a freaking full grown tree. It's like 25 years old.
Yeah.
So these branches are not small. So when they fall, they make a sound.
Do they hit your roof and stuff like that?
That's what I'm saying. It can do damage. And this is near the driveway too.
Oh, so it can fall on a car?
Yeah, because it hit a car and stuff like that. So, but also more importantly for me, I don't want it to fall and actually hit a person. Like one of my kids or someone else.
Outside playing or something.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, I needed him to come out and assess. So he's like, the only day I can come out is Sunday morning.
Father's Day.
Right, of course. And that was the day that I had like circled on my calendar after just a litany of endless projects. And a lot of it is still ongoing, but a lot of things culminated this past Friday where certain things had to get done. And so, it was 110 hour weeks, plus for a few weeks. And so I had just been counting on Father's Day morning. I was just going to sleep like a beast. I was going to sleep.
But Tree Guy said no.
Yeah, Tree Guy was like, the only time I can come out is Sunday morning at like 9 a.m. And so I had to be up like 8:30. And I was like, son of, you gotta be kidding.
Right.
So I wound up getting up and, got all that done. And then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna, because normally once I'm up, I'm up.
Same with me.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna go back to sleep. Right. Yeah.
So I was like, my day is gonna be, I'm just gonna be exhausted for the rest of the day. I'm just gonna lay down and just rest. Dude, like 11 o'clock when I finally got to like go back to chilling. The second my head hit a pillow, it was lights out.
Oh, really? Oh, so you did
go
back to sleep?
Like instant. That's how tired I was.
How long did you sleep?
I slept till like 3.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
That ain't no power nap. That's that's a slumber.
And I mean, when I say I slept till 3, I heard nothing. I saw nothing.
On the couch or in your bed?
In my bed.
Oh, okay.
My wife said that the kids were coming in and checking to see if I was awake because they wanted to say Happy Father's Day and the whole thing. They had like gifts for me and the whole thing was really cute. But finally, I finally came out of my coma and like slowly crawled out of my bed. I was like, what the freak just happened? And she came in, she's like, oh, you're awake. I was like, I guess. Is this real life? Like, wow, how is it 3 o'clock?
Wow.
She's like, yeah, you were so tired. I just want to let you. So thank you to my wife
for letting you sleep
and my children for understanding. They put up with a lot. I work a lot of hours. I work a lot and they put up with a lot and they They thanked me on Father's Day. Their greatest gift was just letting me sleep for a while. And then once I got up, it was very cute. My kids, like, you know, when they're little, they rely on you. Like oh, can we get this for dad? Or, you know, or they make you stuff.
That's where I'm at right now.
Right. Yeah. Got my kids are a little bit older now. So now they're at the age where they save their money that they get throughout the year for chores and so on, or for gifts. And they're actually at the age now where they want to buy people gifts with their own money. So my youngest son, he bought me a Lord of the Rings shirt. And I wore it the rest of the day, and he was so excited and proud. It was just adorable. My oldest daughter got me, I got to show you. I took a picture of it. I got to show it to you. It's this dope like dragon plaque.
Right.
Where it's two dragons intertwined.
Oh, cool.
And an Excalibur sword that goes right down the middle of it. It's a wall plaque.
Oh, wow.
It's
like
right up my alley.
Like a real sword that goes
A real one. Like it's a mini. It's a mini sword. But it looks like almost like a big envelope, like letter opener.
So it's very medieval times.
Very medieval.
That's
cool. So that's really cool. But all my kids got me stuff and wrote me really sweet notes, and my wife,
that's
of course.
Cute.
So it ended up being a short day, but it was a nice one.
That is really funny, like going back to because like I'm at the cute stage where it's like,
yes,
you know,
very much so.
It's like they go with my wife, and then she's like, can we get daddy this? Like, yeah, you get daddy this.
Exactly. You're really buying yourself a gift.
But which is adorable though, because she was so excited. She's like, you like it? Yeah. She's like, it's Mando. You're Mando. And it's just like, and she wanted me to wear it, like you were saying, the entire day. But I have a 9-month-old who's, you know, she's still at the Goo Goo Gaga stage, right? Yeah. But it's funny to see like her name or her like footprint on the card that they made me, because it's just you know, so cute. They have no idea what's going on, but it's still adorable.
Yeah, those are man. Every stage of your kids' ages, you know, it comes with its own set of memories and things that you just kind of. This is why we do it, sort of a deal.
For sure.
And, you know, it's like when they're 1, 2 years old, 4 years old, it has like stuff like that. And then they get older, and it's like the first time they bought you something with their own money. And it's so every stage it's like, you know, this is why being a dad is one of the. I saw a shirt that I was like, man, that is such a good one. It said it's the hardest job you'll ever love.
Yeah,
and so I was like, that is absolutely true. So true. If you really dedicate yourself to it, is the most rewarding thing you'll ever do in your life.
For sure. It's really funny though, like at this young stage too, where like even my birthday is not my birthday, like anymore.
True.
Like, because yesterday we went to a big comic book store here yesterday. And I was like, what do you want to do? And it's like, obviously, I'm gonna go to a big comic book store, look around. But like, even in that, like, it's a huge comic book store here in Texas, and my 4-year-old, she's like, you know, she loves all that stuff right now. But basically, she like likes everything that daddy likes. So she's in there, she's like, whoa, Lego, whoa, Star Wars, whoa, Supergirl. Can I get the Supergirl comic? Whoa, my little, like anything. She's like all about that because they have Lego. It's like a big toy store anywhere, really, right? But even my birthday's here in a few weeks, and it's like she's asking, like, it's not gonna be for me anymore. Like, she's like, Daddy, what do you want it to be? What do you want it to be themed? Like, what do you want for your birthday? What are we gonna do? Like, it's like she's way more excited than I am. So my wife's like, what are you gonna do for birthday? I'm like, I don't know, but I think I'm gonna have to stay home because Olivia's gonna be crushed if I don't. Like, it's like, it's his birthday, where's daddy? Like, it's like all you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's really, really, because, you know, we're older now. It's like,
it's not as important to us anymore.
Yeah, it's not like when you're 12, 13 years old, like, birthday party. So, but it's cute because she's so excited and stuff, and she's like trying to, like, you know, give me stuff and be like, what do you want to do, daddy? And it's just really adorable.
Yeah. And you do it. It's so funny because, like, as the dad, it's like for instance, like your birthday, they want to take you out to dinner.
Yes.
But it's really you buying everybody dinner for your birthday. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not, like you said, it's not really for you per se. To them it is. It's for you.
But it kind of is though too, because how happy they are makes you happy.
Exactly. So that way it is.
But I remember, even because your kids are, you know, quite older than mine, I remember when you would, you know, your middle daughter was like 1 year, you're like, I'm like, what are you doing for birthday? You're like, I don't know, but I'm staying home because the kids really want to spend the birthday with me. And back then I didn't get it, right?
Yep.
And now I'm like, oh, because they just want to be with you because they're like excited that it's your birthday. They just want to, they don't care what you do. They're just like, what do you mean you're not going to be here for your birthday?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, because it was, you know, for many years when we had younger kids, you know, when my wife and I first got married, it was like you just worked on your birthday.
Exactly. Yes.
You know what I mean? And then at night you got off and your wife and you did,
or you celebrated on the weekend or something. Yes.
And even when like we had our first daughter, you know, and she was a baby,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
But the second they start getting older and we had a few kids, the kids growing up changes all of that dynamic.
For sure.
So
it's like weird, like you're saying, weird stages.
Yeah. And not everybody. And again, I don't, this is total first world. Like I want to recognize like not everybody gets to do that.
That's true.
We're very fortunate that we can actually do that and be with our families and take that time. But it is a lot of fun, but it is definitely very different from when you're growing up where you look forward to your birthday and stuff.
Variant, the Father Podcast.
Yeah. And it is true. I grew up too about Father's Day. And this last thing I'll say, we'll get on to our topics. But growing up, we would see like Father's Day and everybody would say like all that dad really wants to do on Father's Day is eat and sleep. And it was like, nah, come on. He would want to go. No, that's absolutely true.
Did you get chicken wings yesterday?
I did not.
You didn't get chicken wings?
I did not. Wow. You know what though? I will say this. We went out to eat. I was going to ask my wife I was like, because we were going to go get wings at my favorite wings place because they were doing free meals for fathers.
Were they really?
They were. But then
now
the freaking,
you tell me.
Dude, the freaking wait was like 2+ hours.
No,
and I was like, not a chance. I was already tired still.
Yeah, no thanks.
So I was like, no, hard pass. So we were going to go, I was going to ask my wife, like, hey, can you just cook a steak? She makes one of the best steaks I've ever had in my life. So I was going to ask her to make my favorite steak. But it was kind of late in the day, so I felt bad. I was like, nah, let's just go grab something. We went out to eat, dude. We went to this place, and it was like, I don't want to compare. It's better than Chili's, like, quality-wise. But it was, everybody just had, like, basically, like, chicken sandwiches, and it was, like, light fare. Basically, like, nothing intense. That junk was almost $200. It was $170. I got the tab, and I was like, what in the name of God? Price? Well, I mean, some of it is that prices on food has gone up so crazy. Like that going out to eat has gotten insanely, because my family is 6 people.
Right.
So we go out, it's already expensive.
Yeah, it's normally over $100.
You got to limit that crap because it's just already really expensive. But, we got the bill and I was like, are you on drugs? We just literally, all of my kids had chicken sandwiches and french fries, like buffalo chicken sandwiches because they love those. My wife had a salad and I had like an enchilada dinner with like a 6-ounce sirloin. That came with it that they sliced up.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But that little thing, and I mean 6 ounces, bro, with 2 tiny little cheese enchiladas, that crap was $24.
Wow.
And I was like, and this isn't fine dining. It's not like we went to like a high-end restaurant. We just went to a local joint.
You want to know how much my dinner? We went out to get some Mexican food yesterday, one of our favorite Mexican restaurants out here.
What's it called?
Chuy's.
Oh, Chuy's.
It's a chain. They're around the country, but we love Chuy's. Fajita chicken burrito is like what queso is like my jam.
That's probably really good.
My wife likes it too. But anyway, you're about to get really jealous because we got me and my wife a meal, and then my 4-year-old, she got a kid's meal, and then obviously my other one's too young, she still eats baby food. So 3 meals, $33.
God, I hate you right now. Dude, I'm not kidding you, bro. I had like a visceral response, and everybody says the same thing to me. They're like, well, didn't you look at the prices on the menu?
I was actually going to say that.
Well, we've been to that place before. That's the thing. We've been to that place before, and it was not that expensive.
What was it last? Do you remember? Was it like $120?
Yeah, no, it wasn't even that. It was like $80.
Then how did you spend almost $100 or $100 more?
I will say this time we got a couple of appetizers.
Oh, okay.
And we got a couple of sundaes at the end.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Dude, it was like nachos and chips with like Parmesan dip, and then the freaking desserts. And I just didn't think it was going to be like the desserts. I didn't think they were going to be the price of an entree.
Well, they're probably like $8 to $10 a piece, the desserts.
The desserts were $11 a piece.
Yeah.
The
appetizers
were $14 a piece. I was like, what the freak?
Yeah, that's like the new norm now. And drinks, did you look at how much your drinks are? Drinks are like $3.
Dude.
Your Coke is like $3.
All right, well, we're not going out to eat again until like August. That was freaking ridiculous. That made me so mad. But yeah, because the other thing I really wanted a steak. So I got like, it wasn't even the steak I wanted. I got a little bit of steak. Again, first world problems all day. But yeah, I just couldn't believe how expensive it was.
That's crazy. Yeah. Well, that's why you got to look at the prices, Tim.
No joke.
Because that's the thing, too. Like, I call Target the black hole. Because my wife's always like, I'm just going to go to Target. I'm like, well, there goes like $150. She's like, no, I just need a few things. I'm like, yeah, because you need it. That's $8. That's $10. Because like everything you need nowadays is usually from like $7 to $10.
So expensive.
So you get 8, 10 things, you're already at basically $100.
Yeah.
And it's true. You get your bags. You're like, I only got like 7, 8 things, but since everything's like pretty much $10 across the board these days,
freaking ridiculous.
It's like,
it really is. Everything is so expensive now.
It's nuts. Like,
and my wife, it's Amazon.
Amazon. That's
my wife
one.
has an Amazon addiction at this point. I'm like, good Lord, you need to move away from the order button.
I have a doorbell camera, right? So even when I'm here at the studio working, I see anytime a package or anyone's at our front door. And today, before we started shooting, 2 more Amazon packages got delivered. Ask me if I ordered anything from Amazon. Ask me.
I don't even have that. You're like, I haven't ordered anything in a month.
Right. So it's one of those things. And it's just like, I don't know. It's just because it's like it's like
what we're saying is that when we're broke and living under bridges, you guys will know why.
It's like I get it because a lot of the stuff, like, to be fair, my wife does not. She's not one of those like women who like is buying shoes and dresses and all that stuff. She doesn't need.
Mine either. Yeah.
Most of the stuff she buys is essentials that we actually do need, or it's like a knife set that's like, okay, that's just gonna make the kitchen better. It's practical stuff, but it's just like sometimes she's like, did we really, even though we're going to use it, do we really need like that, new blender?
Yep.
But it's better than the other one. Yeah, but how often do we use the blender?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? So I don't know.
My wife is the exact same. She's not like a very prissy, she's not somebody that is high maintenance. So she doesn't shop for herself hardly ever.
Yeah, I think in all honesty,
for the kids or practical things and stuff like that.
And she's always buying our kids stuff too. That's another thing. It's like, well, Olivia needed this.
It mounts
book.
Though.
Yeah, it's true.
It mounts.
It's like I saw, like, for instance, this one's like, we swear we'll get to the actual nerdy topics in a second.
This turned into a full-blown like man vent.
Man vent family podcast. It's a father podcast. She just bought because our 9-month-old is crawling now, right? And we have tile, and her knees were getting red. So
don't tell me this.
She went on Amazon. Apparently, they make knee pads for babies, Tim.
Oh my
Little
God,
knee
that's
pads.
the most 2021 thing I've ever heard.
So I'm sure, I think it was like $10, but she bought like a pack of 5 baby knee pads that have like little grips on them so her knees don't get like beat up. But it's just like, that's the things, right? Like that's it. Like all those little $10, $15 items.
You gotta let them do it, without, you gotta let them, their knees get strong. You know what I mean? That's how they build it. They gotta callus up.
She needs roughed up knees.
Yeah, man. You gotta have leather knees. You're gonna crawl.
But it's funny because she put them on her yesterday, and they basically just look like what do you call them? With athletes wear, like those compression bands, right?
Oh
like you put on your elbow or knees. That's essentially what it looks like with little grips.
Incredible.
I'm like, it looks like she's joining the NBA. Like that's
unbelievable.
She's gonna go play some football or something.
I don't even know why I'm surprised by this, but I am.
Yeah, I don't know. But that's it's little stuff like that where like all those like $5, $10, $15 is like over the course of a week, if you do like 6 of those purchases, right, you're like over $100 or at $100, and it's like
easily
that adds up.
Yeah,
so that's the funny thing. It's like it's only $5, only $10. Yeah, but how many times is it only $5, $10?
Yeah. When you keep going back to the casino and hitting that $5 button.
Yeah.
Good Lord. Well, what we're trying to say is we hope all of you fathers out there had a wonderful Father's Day. And I'm sure there's many of you that are relating to what we're saying right now. But it was a good one on this side. I hope everybody out there had a good one as well.
Yes. Now on to the nerdiness.
On to geekdom.
So the Flash movie, that's a thing. It's currently filming. Everyone's kind of looking to it as like this is going to be the soft reboot for the DCEU. As we know, we got Michael Keaton in it. He's reprising his role as Batman. We know we got Ben Affleck, Ezra Miller obviously as the Flash, and Supergirl. I forget the actress's name though. I know her first name is Sasha. I forget her last name, and I feel really bad.
We said it like 5 times, and every time we come back to say it, we forget again.
And I would just call her Sasha, but I'm like, am I on a first name basis with her? I don't think so. Never met the woman. That's what we call rude. But are you gonna look it up here?
I'm gonna look it up because I don't like missing people's names
for sure. While you're doing that, though, anyway, we saw well, before I get to that, the director of the Flash movie took to his Instagram to post the crest, the chest piece of her costume on his Instagram, which he's been doing for all the characters. He did that first with Michael Keaton, which we talked about on the podcast a few weeks ago, where we saw the new emblem for Michael Keaton's Batsuit, which was just the old one. That's now on a newly designed Batsuit, and it looks like really cool. Then a few days after that, he posted the Flash symbol from the new Flash costume on his Instagram, which looks really dope. It's, looks like the concept art that we saw last year at DC Fandom.
Right.
Just really cool to see it, not just a drawing, the actual suit. And then 4 days after that, he posted the Supergirl crest, which is dope. And it's got the red on top and the blue, so it's got like that Earth. I don't even know that that alternate version's Earth Supergirl look going on. But anyway, directly after that, I guess he did that because he knew they were going to be filming out in the open.
Yes,
and they were. There's lots of shots of Supergirl on a crane doing her flying thing in her costume,
and her name is Sasha Kale.
We got some HD images of her on set in her full costume, like head to toe, minus the cape because the cape's gonna be CGI. Although there was some blurry images from very far away of her cape, but again, it was blurry of her wearing the cape. Anyway, it looks dope, dude. I'm loving the texture design.
It looks cool. Very much like Henry Cavill's Superman.
Very, very much like that. Yes, the texture and all that stuff. But the thing I took, the most from this is the fact that she's got the short black hair and she's got the red and blue costume color scheme going on, which keen comic book fans will know, or sharp-eyed, eagle-eyed comic book fans will know, is in the Injustice comic books. There is a Supergirl who is the daughter of Lois and Clark, and that Supergirl is called Laura Lane Kent.
That's right,
and she looks. And Sasha
like her.
looks exactly like Laura Kent from the Injustice comics. So I'm thinking, this is my theory, Tim. This is my theory. I haven't even told this to you yet, but I'm thinking, what if this Supergirl
what if theory
is an alternate Supergirl, right, where she is the daughter of Clark and Lois, just like in that Injustice comic, but more so than that, what if this Supergirl is from the Keaton timeline? Right?
That could happen.
What if,
that's possible.
What if it's not from the main Ezra Miller timeline, whatever, the DC proper timeline?
Mixing the two.
Right, where because we know we got Keaton in it, and what if he's like, he's actually been working with her because he's older now. So they've teamed because he was friends with Clark.
Sure.
And stuff like that over the time that we didn't see as they got older, and now he's working with the daughter, and she's from his
something
timeline.
happened to Superman.
Yeah, right? I don't know. Possible, right?
It is definitely
I think that would be really cool.
That would be interesting, if nonetheless.
But I don't think, as of now, I mean, she still could be.
I'd be curious to see what that spin would be, though.
Yeah. I'm just, the big takeaway for me is, I don't think anymore this is going to be the Kara Supergirl, like the main Supergirl, that we're all familiar with, this is going to be an alternate version of Supergirl.
I think you kind of have to go that direction.
Yeah.
Because, I guess you don't have to. But the look that they cast for was so different than the stereotypical Supergirl that we know in comics.
But they do that stuff all the time now, where it's like, it could still be.
They do, but it is so similar.
It's true. Yes. Now that we see the costume and the haircut, it's identical to Laura Kent.
Exactly. That's my point. It's so similar.
Or Lara.
To Laura Kent.
Lara.
Yeah, it's so similar that it's kind of like, I don't know. That's kind of almost, I guess I'll put it like this. It would seem weird for them to take the character and make her look just like an alternate version of Supergirl.
Almost identical.
Actually exists in comics, and then still make her the traditional Kara. You know what I mean? So that would be my anticipation, that they're going that route. It's just a matter of, like everybody else, what timeline is she going to come from? What Earth is she going to come from? And how is it all going to mix together?
Yeah, I feel like...
But it looks great.
Yeah,
no matter how you slice it, she looks amazing.
It does. She looks great. The costume looks great. And if you follow us on our Variant Instagram, which you should, Variant_official, is our Instagram. Right. We posted a collage on there where you could see everything close up. So we posted a picture of Sasha Kale in her costume, then a close-up of her chest piece, and then a comic book picture of Lara Kent. That way you could see them all next to each other and see how the costume looks identical to the comics, and her haircut and just appearance looks identical to the comics at all. Like, it has to be Lara Kent. I would imagine.
That's my anticipation.
I would be shocked if it's not.
Yeah. Because again, it's like, why would you do that?
Make her look exactly like her, but not.
That's just a weird thing to do.
Yes.
And again, you can never fully say. You kind of just have to wait and see. But it would just be a very odd direction for you to match up exactly with this character that actually exists in comics only for you. I mean, even the bangs that come down the front,
just like
the whole
drawing.
thing, the haircut, the whole deal. And it's actually shocking now that we see it, because I think everybody was anticipating when they cast her that she was going to be Kara.
Right.
Now it's like, oh, well, duh.
Because
you know what I mean?
You're dealing with timelines and stuff like that.
Exactly.
But that's why I think that would be super interesting. The fact that she'd be from the Keaton verse, and that, she is the daughter of Kent and stuff like that, and he's older now, so now he's working with the Supergirl because Clark is doing something, or maybe he even died in this universe. Who knows? Or you know what I mean? Yeah. So there's just a lot of possibilities you could, because with this alternate timeline, you could do anything. Because you know, you could still have your main Supergirl later on whenever you want if this turns out not to be the main Supergirl.
And to add to that fire, Tom Taylor, who actually created the character of Laura Kent, he actually pointed it out and said, wow, she looks, it's almost uncanny, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even like stoking that, like, okay, because, you know, he would know.
He would know, yeah. Especially now with all these movies, apparently, like all these creators who co-created characters and stuff like that, DC gives them royalties when they get adapted to movies.
Exactly.
They get a little kickback and stuff. So he definitely would know. He's like, oh, I got a check coming. Yeah. I got a check coming.
Yeah. And I'm looking at it right now, and he says, and well, Sasha Calle as Supergirl is uncanny.
It's pretty dope.
Yeah. So Laura Lane Kent, that's who we might be looking at.
Or Laura Lane.
Laura Lane. It's
Kryptonian.
Laura Lane Kent. So it's, you know, seeing this suit, I love how the red drapes across her shoulders.
Yes.
It's a cool new look, and she looks remarkably accurate to the comic book version of Laura.
I'm loving the short hair.
Yeah.
Like the really short black hair, I think that looks dope.
Very cool.
With the bangs kind of longer though. Yeah. I love that.
But aren't you curious as to how Supergirl is going to fit into this storyline?
So curious.
And especially without Clark, without, you know, Kal-El showing up at all. He's not, or at least it's
that
not,
we know of.
That we know of. I mean, who knows? But how that's going to tie into this, because it's kind of like this brand new thing, and how they're going to wrap it into the storyline.
But that's why I'm wondering, like, that's my little theory here. If like she is from the Keaton universe, and like something did happen to Clark, so now, because that would be, because again, if it's an alternate timeline and they don't plan on because we already have Henry Cavill Superman from the main timeline, it's like, yeah, that Superman could be dead. You know what I mean?
It's possible.
So it's like, you know,
like Doomsday killed Superman in that.
I mean, that would just be interesting, and we see like newspaper clippings of like the death of Superman.
Yeah,
that would be dope,
man. It's, I guess the lingering aching thing in the back of my mind is I just am still so concerned that they're doing too much in one film, similar to BVS. Where it was just, you know, they're introducing Supergirl. They've got Ben Affleck appearing as Batman, which is fine because he was already in continuity with that universe. But then you've got Michael Keaton coming in, and who knows who else.
That's the big one.
That's the big one.
That's the big one. Which, Tim, that's the next part of this. Just get into that since you brought it up. We got our first, not official, but our first glance of Keaton on set.
Not in the bat suit.
Not in the bat suit. He's in a normal business. Bruce Wayne. Old man Bruce Wayne. Yeah. And there's people who already went online, of course, to get images of old man Bruce Wayne from the Batman Beyond animated series and put it right next to the picture they got from him on set. Dude.
It's awesome.
Dude. It's like, oh, that's old man Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
But even what's crazy, like I've been seeing, you know, because once these images leak, they're all over the internet. Like we post them, a bunch of other outlets post them. But like, you know, it's crazy seeing like Keaton Batman in his prime from like the 89 movie or Returns, and then putting that, like a picture of him at the back computer next to like the picture we just got from him on set. And it's like,
it's so
Batman. Because he looks almost the same, just with gray hair and a few more wrinkles.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
I'll be honest with you. I haven't geeked out this hard.
Oh, it's so cool.
About something happening in a superhero film in quite a while.
Because it's like, this is like Batman. This is like our generation. This is like, there's two Batman from our generation. There's Keaton, which is live action, and Conroy, the animated series. Right. Those are the two. Like those guys are Batman
when we were growing up. Yes.
I would. You ask anyone around.
Of course, Adam West too. You can't forget about Adam West. It's before our time, but it was still relevant.
Yeah,
because it just kind of was like a part of the mythos and a part of the.
That could be the Trinity, I guess.
Because I grew up when I was little. We would watch that all the time.
That's true. I watched it in syndication too.
Yeah,
but you know, I love that show growing up. But as far as like the uncampy like Batman ones, you know, dude, Keaton and Conroy. And now we have freaking Conroy's been voicing Batman. He's still doing it.
Still going
but Keaton left it, you know, in 92, I believe. Last time was Batman Returns.
It was I think it was 91 was his last film. Batman Returns came out, I think.
Yeah, whenever Batman Returns came out, the early 90s. That was the last one. And now 2022 is Batman again?
Yeah, dude. You're talking about a full 20 years later.
Dude.
No, 30 years.
No, it was 30 years.
30 years, I'm sorry.
Dude, that's insane.
Yeah.
That's so cool. It's so just to be able to see that yellow
Crazy.
like oval Batman symbol again, the OG one from the dude. I don't even have any words. I'm just excited and don't let me freaking down.
That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's like there's this lingering moment. It's like, please don't mess this up. It's such a golden opportunity. And it's
one of the coolest things they could have ever done.
It is like we said when we first saw the symbol that he
so good.
that he posted.
So good.
I was like, that was an instant ticket buy.
I literally got goosebumps.
Yeah, that was
not even being facetious.
Instacart.
Yeah,
it's the ticket buy for me. And it's like, I just want it to be good so bad.
And it's weird too, because like I would say, I don't want to go full on and say I'm jaded, but like we're so spoiled with superhero stuff, and we're getting so much superhero stuff. It is harder for me to get like really excited now. Like I get excited for things. Like obviously I look forward to Loki and everything like that, and I love these shows, but like to give me like goosebumps to really like actually take me back to get like a kind of moment is hard because we're spoiled. We have so much superhero content now. It's like you have to do something truly nostalgic and unique, I should say, something truly nostalgic or unique or indifferent to get me to be like, oh my god, you've never seen that before. Well, that's awesome. And this Keaton one is probably one of the biggest ones they could have done. And I'm still like, this is, please do it good.
It's so true. And I will be
the Keaton Batmobile, Tim.
I'm just gonna keep holding my breath, dude. Keaton Batmobile
live action.
Oh
you know that's gonna make an appearance. If anything, it's gonna be sitting in the Batcave at least.
That's man. That will be, you and I will instantaneously revert to like 10 years old.
Like, it's so beautiful. It's like, so beautiful.
Just be like, the cartoons now where you see like the characters' eyes get really big and the little sparkles in their eyes.
Like the anime characters,
That'll be us, yeah.
Dude, oh man. Tim, this is another thing I haven't thought of yet, but he has to. And they have to do with the trailer. Please do with the trailer. Okay. All right. This is another, like, it's so obvious. How did we not bring this up yet? He has to say, I'm Batman.
Oh, don't, dude. I have thought of that.
Dude, I haven't thought of that yet. He's the guy who made that popular.
If that doesn't happen, there's two things where I'm like, there's no way they missed that opportunity. One is, now that after you brought it up the first time, I hadn't thought about it, is to bring back the Batmobile.
Right.
That's one.
Mm-hmm.
The second is for Michael Keaton to say, I'm Batman on screen.
And he's got to be like holding someone up by their collar too and looking at him like,
I'm Batman.
Dude.
Like pissed off.
Dude.
Maybe even injured.
Because Michael Keaton too, remember him in that Vulture scene where he's in the car with Peter Parker from Homecoming? Like,
that's the best scene in that movie.
Yeah, he's freaking intimidating, dude. Like, I mean, he's Batman, but he's like, because the thing with Keaton is funny is he's not a big guy. He's not like Ben Affleck or anything. Yeah, he's actually pretty small. He's not like ripped and he's not really tall. But there's lots of people you'll come across in life like that they're not big or anything like that, imposing, I would say.
Yeah.
But they have something in their eyes.
Yes.
And a demeanor about them where you're like, oh,
this is not a person you F with.
You will hurt me. I get it. Like, I'm actually bigger than you, but you will still hurt me because you're crazy. Like, I get it. And I've
known some of those people in my life.
And he just has that, like, that daddy presence, like, listen to me when I'm talking thing about him, where it's like, okay. All right, Batman. All right, Keaton. Because he's just a phenomenal actor, like, across the board. Excellent. So
I was so sad when he took such a long hiatus, because he's since I was young, he's always been one of my favorite actors, not just because he was Batman, but just because he is such a great actor.
Right.
But yeah, he is. You're absolutely right. He's one of those people that is just imposing there's a demeanor to him that makes him intimidating, which is why he was cast as Batman in the first place,
for sure,
with his stature, right? Because he is a small guy. He's only like 5'9", 5'10",
yeah,
something like that.
He's not 6 foot.
He's a small guy. But have you ever seen the movie Clean and Sober?
No.
It's one of his earlier movies. I believe he was nominated or won an Academy Award for it. But he plays an alcoholic.
Oh, okay. And
that movie is a really good example of what we're talking about how he can just be intimidating as crap.
Right.
He has like anger issues and stuff like that. And if you want to see what we're talking about, Clean and Sober, it's from the late 80s, I believe. That's a great example of like why Keaton is good as Batman and Bruce Wayne.
I was too young, but going back and hearing everyone talk about when he was cast, everyone was like, Mr. Mom, you got Mr. Mom as Batman?
No,
because that was the movie he did like right before the first Batman
Yeah.
film, and it was kind of like seemed like almost like
Well, that was long before Batman.
was Mr. Mom?
That was like early 80s. Yeah.
Well, it almost seemed like a Heath Ledger thing, right?
But
Where
he was
everyone's like,
Beetlejuice.
yes,
Yeah.
Everyone's like, you got Heath Ledger, and then turns out one of the greatest performances of all time. Then same thing, you got freaking Mr. Mom Keaton, turns out great Batman. So it's like it's really funny how that happens. It's like everyone just needs to keep your mouth shut and watch a performance until you judge. I mean, don't judge until you watch a performance.
That's true.
So
that's true. I have been proven wrong many a time.
I remember you weren't a fan about the Pattinson casting at first either.
I wasn't not a fan. I just was unsure of it.
And then you saw the trailer and
I was like, because I hadn't seen any of his more recent serious work, and so I was curious. I was like, wow, that's a very different. Like,
well, he's another one. It was like, you got Twilight Vampire Boy, and then everyone watched the trailer and they're like, oh,
yeah, I wasn't on that train. Yeah, a lot of people were saying that, and I was like, no, I wouldn't go that far. He's got a cool look and stuff like that. It's just in my mind, I was just like, I can't really see him as Bruce Wayne.
The intensity in his eyes, dude.
Yeah, but now, shoot,
dude, I don't know how many times I've watched that trailer. The part where he beats that thug down on the roof, and it's just so quick and like violent.
Sometimes it's obvious. You know what I mean? But then other times it's like you just have to wait and see what it is that the casting directors and the directors and the producers saw.
For sure.
In the room when they were going over and they were actually doing whether it's a read through or whatever, something it depends on the level of the actor. Some of these bigger name actors, they don't really do the same kind of auditions and read throughs that everyone does, but they'll come in and do chemistry tests and screen tests and stuff like that.
definitely did, because it was between him and like 3 people.
Yeah. Yeah. But he was one of the people. So it's like, for me, it was very much like, I don't know what it is, but it's Matt Reeves. So right off the bat, I was like, I trust Matt Reeves. Matt Reeves is a phenomenal creator, director and writer. So I was like, I'm curious to see what he saw, in the screen.
We got a glimpse of that in the trailer. He's like, oh, I get you. I got it.
Yeah. When we saw that trailer, it was like, holy crap. Yeah. So that's going to work out great. But
we're apparently getting more at Fandom, this year's Fandom.
You think so?
That's the rumor going around.
Well, it makes sense.
Well, they're doing right now. I actually saw on the internet today, they're doing pickup shots right now.
Oh, is that right?
So they're doing their final round of pickup shots, and then that is it. They're just purely in editing post mode at that point.
We're still so far away.
Next year.
We're still so far away. We're more than a year out still. It's
Is it frustrating that it was supposed to be this month, June? Yeah. Remember that? When it was supposed to be this month?
Yeah.
This month of my birthday?
Dude. Yeah, it's still very like, man, I cannot believe how far that got pushed out.
Well, it's sad when you think of all that stuff. There's people who like gather all the original release dates and you're like, we're supposed to be in a world where this is out, this is out. Like, I think Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom's supposed to be out. Batman is supposed to be out. Like, there's a plethora.
You mean the new Jurassic Park one?
Is that not Fallen Kingdom?
It's called Dominion.
Oh, Dominion. Might be. All right, Dominion. The new Jurassic World movie. Yeah, all that. There's a plethora. A cornucopia, if you will.
When is Dominion coming out anyway?
I don't even know.
Is that this year? Or is that next summer?
I don't know. I would be guessing.
Either.
I'd be guessing.
All the release dates have changed so many times. I've lost track of all
Black
of them.
Widow legitimately has changed like 3 or 4 times that date.
Oh, you know what? I'm looking at it right now. I'm seeing a release date of March 4th.
For what?
For the Batman.
Of next year.
Of 2022.
Yeah. I knew it was 2022.
I thought that got pushed to October of 2022.
No. I knew it was first quarter of 2022.
Did that get changed?
Not
I thought
to my
they had
memory.
originally pushed it to the fall of 2022. Did they?
No, I knew it was between the March, May, June area.
Or was it supposed to be fall 2021 and then they got pushed to spring?
I don't know. I mean, it makes sense when you think about it, because like they're going to be done doing reshoots.
Well,
here
then it's
soon.
not as far as we think. Then that's
that's
not even a year. Then
no, but it's still far.
Okay, I can live with that though. I was thinking it was October.
No, it's not the end of next year.
Okay,
it's the beginning of next year.
Okay, I have to look at that. I swore it was it had gotten pushed to September, October of 2022.
Anyway, Keaton looks phenomenal on set. The little glimpse we got of him. I'm sure we'll get official images soon.
Yes.
And the last thing I want to say that's about this Flash movie is we got Ezra Miller as the Flash. There's on-set pictures of him. He's in a suit on stairs with Iris West. But the thing everyone's noticing and zoomed in on is he's wearing his Flash ring, his gold Flash ring.
Yes.
Which, as we know, is what contains his Flash costume. His ring shoots out of the costume. So that means his new costume will now be inside of his Flash ring, like in the comic books, which is dope.
I wonder if he gets it from Michael Keaton Batman.
That'd be dope.
I wonder if that's where he gets it.
Wasn't it supposed to be?
He could get it from Ben.
I was gonna say it was originally supposed to be. Yeah, it was originally supposed to be in the Snyderverse. that Ben Affleck is the one who made Barry's next costume. So it could be that.
Didn't we get
Batman
something?
makes his costume.
It's been a hot minute, but didn't we get something at the end of, was it BVS or Justice League, where he makes mention of something about Batfleck making him a new suit?
Not that I remember, but
or am I remembering this wrong?
I don't remember
am
this.
I misrememberizing?
But I also don't know enough to say you're wrong. So I'm hazy.
Yeah, I'm hazy too.
But anyway, the Flash movie is looking bright, because the last thing I will say is the Mercedes that we see Bruce Wayne, Ben Affleck drive in Justice League. There's a black version of that spotted on the set. So Ben Affleck's on the scene somewhere. At least his Mercedes is.
The Batfleck is nearby.
Yeah.
Gang.
So, dude, things are shaping up, and we have all this. We got Supergirl, 2 Batmen, the Flash. Where's the villain?
That's a good point.
Where's the villain? Is it Reverse Flash? There's rumors that it was Reverse Flash.
Well, you see other people that they're listing in the casting of the film, but they are not saying who they are. So there's a couple of casting choices here that it's kind of like, oh, that could be a villain. So it's like, because one of them, namely being Rudy Mancuso, and they're not saying who he is.
Oh, the Vine star. The Vine star, who is now TikTok, Instagram star.
So it's like,
Could you imagine if he was like the Reverse Flash or something? That would be like,
well, it's it's his look that's throwing me off. I'm like, wow, what could he could fit, because he's kind of like a multifaceted creator, that guy, but he's an actor. So it's like, I'm wondering if maybe he's the Turtle.
You think they would go that route? I mean, slowing down time?
I mean, they're dealing with time.
So slowing
down.
They're dealing
with time. They're dealing with multiverse, and how that might, come into conflict there.
Well, I remember there was a rumor going around but they said Reverse Flash could be female. They could change it up in here. Is there any females on there you see?
I do remember that. There is one. I'm going to butcher this poor woman's first name. I think it's Sorcy. Or Cersei Monica Jackson, I'm going to say. And I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. It's Irish, clearly. Saoirse. So I think it's Cersei. But I'm probably wrong. But she is she's younger, and they're not saying who she's cast as either.
I think it's very interesting, though, that we know, like Supergirl, Keaton, Batman, all this stuff, but they haven't had any talks about a villain.
That's true.
What are they keeping under wraps?
I mean, this is kind of like the normal.
Yeah.
This has become the commonplace deal, right? So it's
Reverse Flash
shocking.
seems like the almost obvious thing, because he's literally like the Joker
right.
to like Barry's Batman or whatever.
Right.
So it's like, come on, especially if you're dealing with time and stuff like that. It's like, because they already referenced it in the Snyderverse and the Justice League. It's like, as far as his dad being in jail and stuff like that, and he's looking to prove his innocence. So we know his mom and stuff has already obviously been killed by Eobard. So it's like, come on, give us Thawne.
We'll see. I mean, I will say Andy Muschietti he's a solid creator. So
plus,
that gives me hope. We'll just have to wait and see what they're doing. There's so many things up in the air with this one.
There is.
And we have a long ways to wait on that one for sure.
We do.
That's November 2022.
Yeah. But I guess moving on, and in the same vein, though, staying in the DC universe, David F. Sandberg, director of the Shazam movie and now Shazam Fury of the Gods. They're currently filming Shazam Fury of the Gods.
Yep.
A while back, we talked about it. We got set photos of the new Shazam costume.
That's right. Building on that.
Yeah. Which looks dope. So he was like, all right, whatever. You got some HD set photos. Might as well officially release it. And this morning released a picture of the entire Shazam family in their costume on a soundstage.
Yep.
And they basically look identical to the Shazam's costume, just in different colors. So you got like purple, green, blue, gray. Look, pretty much minus the female costumes. All the guy costumes look the same, just in different colors. And I love it, man. I think Mary Marvel, actually, her costume looks dope. I told you earlier, it almost seems like Shazam Wonder Woman hybrid. I love like that kind of like Greek mythology with like those like battle boots, and then like that kind of like Greek Spartan skirt she's got going on. But
it's very Amazonian.
Just all the costumes. I think all these costumes in general are a significant upgrade from the first Shazam film.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
Yeah, it looks good. I mean, I like it, but I said this after the first film. I wish they wouldn't have gone Shazam Family so quickly. That they would have given the chance to let Shazam kind of live on his own for a second, roll that out a little bit further, and then allow Black Adam to come into play, and then bring the Shazam family in.
Yeah,
I kind of wish it would have gone that route, but still, I mean, it's very cool. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm digging. I think that these looks, since we're mainly just talking about the costumes, fit so much better into the DCEU.
Yeah.
Like now looking back at the old, costumes that they all wore, the Shazam Family, it looked very like childish in a sense, like very a little more campy.
Yeah.
Because one of our complaints with Shazam's costume, specifically Shazam himself, was the fact that it's like clearly padded muscle. You know what I mean? Where it's like, that's clearly not Zachary Levi under there. You know what I mean? That's a lot of padding. Where this one is a lot more, like he's still jacked, but a lot more natural looking and stuff. It even looks like Zachary Levi probably put on more muscle this time around.
Without any doubt. And I think they let it live more naturally.
For sure.
As opposed to like, hey, let's put an entire muscle suit.
That's what I'm saying.
On everyone. So all the men had these ridiculously large muscle suits.
We're gods now.
Yeah. I mean,
we're champions.
The Mary Marvel, the female characters, they let them just kind of be naturally looking.
Yeah.
But even this new suits they have on the two female characters, they fit them much better.
Yes,
it looks much more solid, much more like superhero like, and like you said, less campy.
Yeah, it fits into because I could see these guys standing next to like, Ben Affleck Batman, Henry Cavill Superman, like they fit now, with the texturing and the colors.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yes, this is a good upgrade.
And they roped back the ridiculous muscle suits.
Yeah, for sure.
Which was a very smart decision.
The one thing though I noticed from here that I liked from the first costume and just Shazam's design in general that doesn't seem to be on here is the hood for Shazam on the cape.
True. There's
no more hood, and I'm a fan of the hood.
I am a fan of the hood as well.
I think it's a good like distinguishing part from like Superman and stuff, and I just like the hood on the cape.
And it just kind of looks more classic.
It does, and it looks like they got rid of it, which makes me sad.
It does look like they got rid of it.
I mean, I'd trade the hood for these costumes, if they were
That's true.
So
yeah, it's definitely a suit upgrade. I think it's interesting that they're sticking with the same material type that they used for Superman.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Where it's almost like a riveted.
Well, I think what is it? The same studios making Ironside Studios or something like that.
I'm not sure.
They usually do all the DCEU they do actually, to be fair, they do most superhero costumes. They've done a lot of the X-Men movies. I believe they worked on Spider-Man costumes. They even did Keaton costumes way back in the day, but now they're basically like the go-to for any superhero costume. So I think that may have something to do with it. That's like, hey,
that's like their trademark.
Yeah, and also they are trying to keep it probably within the same universe. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I guess the reason I say it's interesting is because we don't know what universe we're going to be staying in.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And the fact that they're keeping that look very much in continuity with the Snyderverse. You know what I mean? So like that kind of mesh look to the fabric is very similar to our Zack Snyder's Superman.
For sure.
You know,
or even
the
Batfleck costume.
Yeah, Batfleck's, all of them. Really, all the heroes, even Aquaman, same thing. It has that like mesh type design that looks really cool. And one of the most interesting things about these suits that we learned when we got up and close and personal to them is that Superman's and some of the others, they actually have writing on them.
Yeah, in their own language, like Kryptonian
language, like Kryptonian and so forth. So it's very cool. I'd be curious to see if they did the same type of thing with this, if it has any kind of from like the Wizards, what's the Rock of Eternity and things like that, maybe spells or something to that effect woven into the fabric or something to that effect. That would be cool to see.
That'd be really cool. Well, they actually images of the Wizard Shazam on set, so we know he's back this time around for the movie. And you got to imagine like the Black Adam
I wonder
movie.
how they're going to make that work.
Yeah, I know, right? Comic books. So we know for sure that Black Adam is in continuity with this movie. So it's just like if we find out where Black Adam lives or we find out where Shazam, I'm going to assume that Shazam still lives in the DCEU just purely based off the first one. That's what for now I'm just going to assume that because the first one was very like, oh yes, Henry Cavill, like BVS happened in this universe.
They acknowledged both Batman, Superman.
Yes.
Yeah.
He had the freaking batarang and then a bullet that, apparently was shot at Superman.
They acknowledged what had happened with Doomsday.
That's what I'm saying. So off that alone, I'm going to assume that this is in the DCEU.
I think that's a fair assumption.
That is what we have to say about Shazam because there's nothing more released at this time besides costumes.
We're still a ways out from all of that stuff, but it's cool to see these things start to trickle out a little bit now, and for us to get a little bit more about what we're going to be seeing, what direction they're going in. The only thing that remains to be seen is the story elements. Is where are they taking
with the fury of the gods.
Universe. Yeah. Where are they taking everything?
I want to see what Sinbad's doing. I don't know, man. I'm excited for Sinbad.
I am too. But what a weird. Who would have thought?
Dude, I loved Sinbad growing up. I was a fan.
Oh my god,
dude, he was hilarious.
He was a blast to watch.
Yeah. What's that movie where he was the bodyguard for the president's first kid?
First kid.
Oh man, I love that movie.
Love that movie now.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, it's well, yeah.
Okay, for nostalgia purposes, yeah. For nostalgia purposes, I loved it as a kid.
Yeah, it's a cute movie. My kids love it. They get a biggest kick out of it. But I think that's what it's made for, right?
For sure.
Yeah, it's like the Blank Check. Remember the Blank Check?
Oh, I love that movie too. You're speaking my language.
Dude, have you watched
Richie
that recently?
Rich. That's another one. Blank Check?
Blank
no.
Check?
Mm-mm.
I watched that with my kids about a year ago or so because it was on Disney Plus, of course. And there's a scene at the end of the movie where
I know what you're gonna say.
where the
already
adult
know.
woman kisses the young kid on the mouth.
Yep.
And is like, hey, maybe see you in a few years, sort of thing. And I was like, what the?
It's like this would never fly
no
now.
Way.
Never fly.
Dude, that's bordering on pedophilia.
Yeah, because he's like a 12-year-old.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when you're 12, you 12-year-old boy, you're like, heck yeah.
He's got an older woman.
That's what I'm talking about. But as an adult, you're like, how did that make it into this freaking movie?
Dude, no
they
joke.
thought that was acceptable.
I think I brought that up when it did come on Disney Plus to my wife whenever, last year or whatever. And same thing. I'm like, the way times change, like there
no
is
kidding.
Like if
No
they
kidding.
ever try to put that in a movie now, like everyone on set would just be like, you're funny, that's not happening. Like it's just like no
the actors
way.
would just be like, I don't think I'm comfortable with that. Yeah.
But then it's funny, like you said, because when I was like 10 or 12, it's like, oh man, good for you, dude.
I mean, that's probably true now as well. But yeah, that was even my kids were like, what on earth?
Yeah, it's funny.
My kids freaked out. They were just like, oh my, ew.
It's funny how times change.
Yeah.
Like what you thought like then, what you think now, or just even being older. Like as a kid, you're like, cool. As an adult, you're like, ugh.
Yeah,
like no. What is pedophilia? No. Jeez.
Good Lord. And a parent signed off on that.
No joke.
Seriously.
For real.
Good Lord.
He's like begging.
Yeah. It's like, no, it's fine.
It's fine.
We're not related.
Oh. Moving on.
Yeah.
So let's go to Marvel, Tim. Let's go to the other side of the coin.
Well, it always ends here.
It always, if we talk about
It
one, you
always
gotta talk
ends
about it. I feel like the trifecta: Marvel, Star Wars, DC.
Yes.
That's like we're always going in that triangle.
Yes. We're gonna have to start breaking that cycle a little bit. Yeah.
But to be fair, Star Wars, Marvel, and DC are the ones that are constantly pumping out like
That's true.
content like crazy. Like you're
they
getting
dominate the content.
yeah,
sphere.
movies, TV shows, all that stuff. So Loki, episode 2.
Yep.
We watched it.
In the books.
I think I liked it just as much as the first episode, if not more in some ways, just because of we really got to explore the relationship that's building with Mr. Mobius and Loki. And I think it's it could go on to be one of the greatest like back and forth / relationships we've seen in the MCU in a long time. Like I just think it's hilarious.
Really good.
Like Miss Owen Wilson is so good at Mr. Mobius.
He's awesome.
It hurts. Like that character. You were saying it last podcast, and this episode 2 proved it even more. It is the perfect balance
Really
of
is.
serious but like likable funny.
Yes.
Like it's this weird, awesome combination of like, it's really like dramatic and serious, but also lighthearted and funny and kind.
Yep.
I'm like, he's nailing that character.
So good.
Like I don't even care that it's like different from the comics, like, a good amount, because his take is better. It's so good.
The good thing about it is in the comics, there's not a ton to draw on in the first place.
No, and they're more robotic and like
exactly.
very much like, this is our rules, you have to do this.
Right, but what I'm saying is it's not like this huge, extensive history
for
for
sure.
Mr. Mobius in the comics. So they had a lot of freedom to kind of reinvent that character in the first place. And I just... when you first heard that Owen Wilson was going to play a role, it was already kind of like, oh, cool, that's awesome. Let's see what they do. Like, who is it going to be? Then you find out it's Mr. Mobius, and you're like, well, that's kind of interesting. How's that going to play? And now you see what they're doing, what they've done with it, and how Owen Wilson has taken that character and how he's portraying it on screen. Yeah. And it is just... it's everything you didn't know you needed in the Marvel universe, right? It's so good. And Loki, Tom Hiddleston as Loki has been awesome.
Yeah.
So good. But I think Owen Wilson as Mr. Mobius is my favorite character thus far. He's so
I can't even be mad about that. Like if you or anyone to say that, it's like I can totally see that.
Yeah.
Right now, I feel like they're almost like peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah,
they work so well together that you can't. I mean, you can obviously have one without the other. We've had Loki forever, but like for the show context, for what we're talking about within the show Loki,
right?
They're working so well together that I don't think Loki would be as good without Owen, and vice versa.
Right. And I think what it is for me is the reason I think I'm liking.
I said Owen instead of Mr. Mobius, but you guys know what I meant.
Yeah, we know where we're going. But the reason I think that I'm liking Mr. Mobius so much and Owen Wilson as that character and his portrayal is it's so different.
Very.
It's a fresh, different type of character in the MCU. In the way that he's portraying the character, and just Owen Wilson's persona, taking on a role like that inside the MCU is so different and fresh and new that I'm just really enjoying it. Whereas Tom Hiddleston as Loki, he's always good. We know he's good as Loki, and this is a fantastic take on the character, like the deep dive into who Loki is and why he does what he does, and all these things we kind of broke down in our last episode. That's just a blast to watch. So it is difficult to choose between the two. Yeah. But from the fresh take of like, this is something very new, very different. And I'm curious to see how this, because in this episode, and spoilers for Loki episode 2, for any of you who have not seen it, and I'd be surprised that there's many at this point. But for those of you who haven't, we are going to talk openly about the episode itself. But I have a theory that has been generated from after watching this episode. There was a lot of things that happened in episode 2. There was a lot of little teases, a lot of little nuggets that dropped in there, but I have a theory about where things are going overall. It might be early, might be too early, kind of like me saying, like the hooded character might not be the female Loki,
which it very much was.
It very much was, not surprising. But the reason I said that, to be fair, is because I was like, why make it a hooded, shrouded character? Because we all knew female Loki was going to be there.
But it goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the last podcast and my Target incident with that quote unquote Star Wars fan employee at Target, where it's like
not everyone,
we're actually in the minority where not everyone's as hardcore as us.
That's true.
The general public had no idea probably.
Well, they had, that's true. But they had just been so public about there's going to be a female Loki. Yeah. So I guess for me, I see what you're saying. That's totally fair. So for me, it was just not a surprising. So I was kind of like, well, maybe because they're doing that, maybe this is some other character and they're going to, pull like a little rope-a-dope and we'll get the female Loki later.
Yes.
Turned out not to be the case. It was, in fact, the female Loki. And she is going around and she's basically placing time bombs to jack up the entire timeline. Yep. Right. And create all of these variants, as they call them, which is a perfect name for our show.
Dude, seeing Loki wearing that jacket that says variant on the back, I'm like, it's like, we need that jacket.
It's like, this is free marketing.
Yeah, for sure. Like, what's happening?
But yeah, so it's, watching it happen and roll out. But as the episode rolled out and seeing what they're doing with Loki, is he's almost like a detective now, which is so fun, by the way.
It is really fun.
So freaking fun. And Mobius, like them becoming this odd couple buddy cop situation.
Or in the beginning of that episode, how Loki tries to trick Mr. Mobius at first. And
when they go to the crime scene.
Yeah, and you see that like Mr. Mobius is going to believe him for a second, but he pauses and he literally just stares. He's like, he's lying. And it's just like, it was like a really good beat. Really good beat.
It was so good. Like he's like, you almost had me there.
So good.
It's so good. But they go to a Renaissance fair in like the early 1980s or like the mid 1980s or whatever it is. And my kids are looking at this like, are they in the medieval times? Like they thought they were going to, I was like, no, kids, that's actually a thing that people actually do. It's called a Renaissance fair.
It's that restaurant, right? That restaurant.
That's exactly what it went to.
They joust and stuff?
That is exactly what it went to. And I was like, no, you see, it's kind of like the first Comic-Con in a way. It's called a Renaissance fair and people actually dress up as knights and, maidens and kings and queens and so on. And they're like, you're kidding me. And I was like, no, there's plenty of them all over the country.
I went to
They're
several
actually
of those.
A lot of fun.
I was just going to say, when I was in middle school on field trips, we would go. So there was like 2 years in a row where we would have one in Broward County, Florida. They had one. Yep. And we would go. It was really fun because really they have jousting, they have the knights there, they have like the meat on a stick.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it was great.
They have all of they do a lot of the food from that era and so on.
And everyone there, it's kind of like Galaxy's Edge. It's like the first Galaxy's Edge where everyone's in character. Yeah. So they're like, the toilets, we don't know such thing, but there's an outpost over there.
So good.
Like,
What is this? This is cell phone you speak of.
No, and even back then, if like you know, it was a field trip, people would bring like their Game Boys and stuff like that. And they're like, "What is this sorcery you have in your hand?" Like, it's really fun.
So now that they're aware of this, now they want to go because now they're going to feel like they're in Loki. So they're like, "Is there a Renaissance fair we can go to?"
I think let's go. I'll go with you.
We should find one.
I'll do it. It's fun.
It would be good. But yeah, so they go to a Renaissance fair, is the point. They go to this Renaissance fair where the Loki on the loose,
the Loki
that turns out to be the female Loki, has killed
Lady Loki.
Yeah, Lady Loki has killed more TVA agents, and Loki is in there, and he gives this long explanation of what he starts to explain. I've discovered what's happening here
because he's Loki. He knows.
He's Loki. I know, and he gives this long-winded, elaborate, the wolf versus the sheep, and all this kind of the wolf in sheep's clothing sort of a spiel. And it sounds really good at first, but then like halfway through you realize, oh, he's full of crap.
Right.
And then it was exactly that. Like Owen Wilson's like, no, give him a chance. Give him a chance.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. and then he does that scene where he's just like, no, he's lying.
He's lying. Yeah.
Okay. There's nobody outside because he tells him, nobody go outside, because that's what Loki tells everyone. Don't go. Anybody go outside. The Loki is waiting. Is lurking in the shadows, waiting to kill everybody outside. So that whole dynamic between him and Mobius as it rolls out is just so good. But as the story continues to roll out, as we saw in episode 2, what they're doing with it just continues to get more interesting as it goes, especially pertaining to what is happening with the TVA, right? And this is where my theory comes in. Should I tell it now, or do you want to elaborate further on the episode before I give my theory?
Because the episode was great.
What was your biggest takeaways on the episode? What did you like best on the episode?
Truly, just the relationship building with Mr. Mobius and Loki. I thought that was great, and how we're really seeing it seems like they're slowly building Loki. Where in the end, well, kinda, even with the way the episode ends, because spoiler, the episode ends with him getting away, chasing the Lady Loki. But everything before that, and even with that still happening, I feel like he's gonna come back. You know what I mean? They're just building like, oh, is this he gonna find his quote unquote place, so to speak? Like maybe because he's dead, right? We know he died in Endgame. So is this
in the main
he died in Infinity War? Yeah. Sorry, the beginning of Infinity War.
Is it not the divine timeline?
I don't remember what they called it in the MCU.
The sacred timeline.
Sacred timeline, right. But so he's dead in the main timeline in the MCU. So I'm like, and there is already rumors of season 2.
Oh, is that right?
There's already rumors of season 2. Some people are saying it's confirmed, but like if Disney doesn't say
there's been a lot of rumors about season 2s for all these shows, though.
Yeah, so,
Take it all with a grain of salt.
Yeah, rumor. So if that's the case, it's like, is he just like, this is his place?
Interesting.
You know what I mean? So that's been my favorite thing, but just... I'll also say I have a shorter theory. Mine's way short. It seems like yours is going to be more elaborate. And I actually told you this over the weekend, actually, when we hung out over the weekend, where at the end, when he confronts Lady Loki and she's putting all these bombs all over to disrupt the timelines, like, what if, that's going to make sense here in a second. It's going to be a pun. What if, like, all those timelines she's, messing up and making is what creates the What If series we're going to watch after this.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where, because Lady Loki. It's two Lokis here. Lady Loki is messing up everything. So it would be cool if that's setting in place the What If series, and that's the explanation where even the Watcher and stuff says, hey, there was a Loki going around and it messed up, or this Loki messed up everything. Yeah. So that's not a theory to like where the season's going per se, but I think it's cool if the What If series connects to this Loki series in that way, and vice versa. But I still don't have a big guess for where the series is going in general. Like, I would still think that one of the timekeepers is King the Conqueror, that because they keep showing him, especially in the second episode, and I feel like you're not going to keep putting the camera that close if this is not coming, background. And it seems like, again, one of Loki's main objectives to help the TVA is he wants to get in front of the timekeepers. Right. He wants to because we find out in this episode, he's like, Mr. Mobius is like, let me guess, you want to get in front of the timekeepers, convince them to work for you, and then take over like all of time and eternity. Exactly. Like he's like, no, yes.
It's so funny. Their relationship is so good.
So we know they're going to be key characters, but it's just, is Kang going to be one of them? And 2 episodes in, I feel like that's not enough. You clearly have a theory, but for me, I don't have enough to give a solid one. My only two things I'm thinking now is, what if those bombs that Lady Loki's setting off is going to create the What If series that we're going to get after this.
Yes.
And I'm loving the Mr. Mobius and Loki relationship, and we're probably going to get Kang, at least a cameo.
It is certainly looking in that direction, and that actually ties right into my theory.
Okay.
So as this episode, particularly episode 2, as it rolled out, okay, I started noticing more in this episode than in the first, even because there was little hints even in the first one that maybe the TVA, while incredibly powerful, might not be what it seems.
Okay.
Right? In the second episode, we get even more of just a more blatant rollout of that concept. Some of the comments that Owen Wilson makes about how he would like to ride a jet ski.
Yes.
Right? Some of that commentary where he's talking about how, there's this jet ski, it's one of the finest, pieces of machinery ever made. And he's like, well, have you ever ridden one? He's like, well, no. Right? And there's this melancholy to it. And there's this underlying, like, we don't get to do certain things.
Yeah.
Right? Not being a member of the TVA, an agent for the TVA is not everything it's cracked up to be, sort of a spiel. Right? Same thing with Ravonna Renslayer, the character, the judge character.
Who we know is tied to Loki in the comic books.
Not only tied to Loki, is also tied to Kang the Conqueror in the comics.
That's what I meant to say. I meant to say Kang. I don't know why I said Loki, but yeah, Kang the Conqueror. Yeah, that's like his little lady.
Exactly
his love
right.
lady.
So we know now, and so we go into the judge's office, right? Her office, where we see again the remnants of the timekeepers are in her office, and she's kind of like this middleman between everybody and the timekeepers. And what did we keep hearing in episode 2?
Mr. Mobius has to go to her for permission to do these missions.
Exactly right. But she has, according to her, she has direct communication
with the timekeepers.
She's kind of like their voice. They ask her, like, well, what are they thinking about this? And another thing that Mr. Mobius says to Loki, he's like, I don't know. I've never met them. Or I think he actually says it to Ravonna herself. But the point is there's several comments about no one's ever seen the timekeepers.
Yes.
I've never met the timekeepers. I've never even seen them. That sort of a thing. During when we're seeing Lady Loki place all of these, the reset bombs, time reset bombs.
The time bombs.
Yep. And we see the captured TVA agent, the TVA agent that the Lady Loki had captured. She tells them when they finally find her, she says, I've revealed the location of the timekeepers. And then when Loki comes face to face with Lady Loki, and he goes through they have their exchange, and he's like, well, what do you want? What do you want with me? What are you after? And she just says, right before she takes off into a portal, she says, it's not about you. And she blows up the timeline, right? She blows up. It's as if she's going to war with the timekeepers.
Yeah.
I started getting, and this is where my theory comes in, I started getting serious Wizard of Oz vibes.
Oh, like there's not really like
there are no timekeepers.
Yeah.
It's just Kang the Conqueror, and it's all a facade. And the reason that Ravonna Renslayer is the judge overseer and is the only one who has direct communication with the timekeepers is because she is in a relationship with Kang the Conqueror, and he's appointed her kind of the middleman, so that the facade, the Wizard of Oz facade, doesn't get blown up, because that's his means of controlling the timeline and moving things in the direction he wants them to be. Which means they would. So, and because in our last podcast you mentioned, what if they made Kang the Conqueror? And this has been a theory that's been going around. What if Kang the Conqueror is one of the timekeepers? Yeah. So my theory is, what if he's the timekeeper?
Right.
There is only one.
Well, you at that point would be making him like the most powerful being in the MCU.
Unless it's all through technology.
Like in the comic books.
Correct.
Right.
If it's just he has created technology.
But he still would be manipulating
absolutely.
everything.
Absolutely. But I'm wondering if that is what Lady Loki is going to war with. She wants to destroy his ability, because what's one of the big things we also mentioned in the first episode, or after watching the first episode, is one of the big things that they're toying with and they keep talking about is no one really has free will.
Right. Yeah.
Right. He even says to Loki when he first meets Ravonna as judge, and she's questioning him and so forth, and he's just like, "And what do you do again?" And he's like, "I carry out the dictates according to their dictates." But what's your point? That sort of a thing.
Yeah.
But she basically is saying like, "I just do. Everybody does what they're supposed to do, and as long as everybody does what they're supposed to do, we don't have to do it. We don't. Nothing will happen to you.
Yeah.
We won't have to bother you. You won't end up here," sort of a thing.
Right.
So I'm wondering if the Lady Loki's character is going to be this disruptor that says that should not be, that found out what the real deal is and says no one should be able to dictate what everyone can and cannot do.
So Lady Loki was a good guy in that sense, where she's trying to like
like a Thanos-ish type.
Yeah.
Where she appears to be a villain.
I mean,
but it's just that they don't realize, like even Mr. Mobius doesn't. He thinks he's doing everything for the greater good. Everything is based on this story of who the timekeepers were and how everything, because and just watching the first episode, how they lay everything out, it has all the air of like classic propaganda, right?
Yeah.
Like the way they tell the story in Miss Minutes. It's like, oh, long time ago, there was a great war.
She's in the beginning of the episode, by the way.
Yeah.
And this is kind of off tangent, but that little back and forth with Loki, where he's like, "Are you real? Are you alive? Are you sentient?" And she's like, "Well, kind of both. I'm recorded in and I'm living."
And he's like trying to swat her.
It's so funny.
Yeah. But it plays into that whole idea of like, because it all comes across as like propaganda. It plays into that whole idea of what I was about to say is, those who win the wars write history.
Yeah.
It's that whole Braveheart thing.
Well, I mean, that's definitely plausible for sure. I could definitely see it going that way, because that would make sense for Quantum Mania too, right?
Yeah.
Like if they reveal in this show that Kang is actually manipulating everything with his technology and stuff, then Ant-Man and the Wasp going into the quantum realm would have to combat that, right? Because we already know he's the bad guy for that. And, we've been saying from the beginning, I feel like if they don't set up Kang in this show to then lead into that movie, it would almost be like a misstep. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, again, I don't know what way they're going, if that theory is right, if not. There's a bunch of ways you can go. But either way, I feel like it's all you would think needs to be leading to Kang. But we thought that with Mephisto, though, right?
That's very true.
We thought that with Mephisto.
But we still might be getting Mephisto. This does not eliminate the possibility of Mephisto.
But I'm saying for that show. Like, we might not get Kang. That's true. We're like, he should be in the show.
Yes.
But what if we're like, he's not?
But here's another part of the theory, and this is like the back end of it, is what if Kang did what he's doing, as part of what he's doing is to contain beings like Mephisto, right? So in other words, here's my theory. This is the kind of the summed up version of the theory. The world as is being presented with the TVA in Loki is a Wizard of Oz type situation where the timekeepers is really just Kang the Conqueror, who's using technology to control and to limit the timeline to one structure. But it gets blown up through the Loki series. It gets exposed as it's Kang the Conqueror. It gets exposed as no one should have the power to be able to dictate what choices people can and cannot make, right? And then the timeline is allowed to branch out into all the different multiverses, and that is what in turn blows the door open fully for all of these alternate versions and alternate Earths and variant timelines and so forth. That leads us into both what we know is coming in Spider-Man, the Spider-Verse, and Quantumania, Fantastic Four, all these different things, because it becomes iterations of all of these characters, and they use that to explain why all of these characters weren't around during the Infinity Saga, because those versions of those people weren't allowed to exist yet. Now they do, and because everyone is aware of the multiverse, these characters are coming into play, and they can actually cross paths and so forth and help each other and intersect.
That's possible.
That's my theory in a nutshell.
So you think basically Kang is responsible for all that alternate timeline stuff?
For at least limiting it, and then when they remove his restraints.
But it's also like
that it opens the door to all the other stuff, because how else? Because otherwise they will have to explain why all these things didn't exist otherwise, right? All along. In other words, like, why didn't Thanos know that those things existed?
Well, that's the thing. That's kind of what I was gonna say. even besides that, speaking of Thanos, like Infinity Stones, right, and Cosmic Cube or Tesseract, as it is in the MCU, they don't work in the TVA thing. So that means Kang would have access to technology that's greater than the Infinity Stones,
or that could at least suppress the power and limit it.
But again, even though, like in the books, Kang himself doesn't have that power, he uses advanced technology. So he's basically like, you know,
or maybe it's just the nullifier, right?
The ultimate nullifier. They bring that
version of the ultimate nullifier. They do a spin on that to where it's like because we know they're in the null zone, right? That's where the TVA operates is in the null zone. So maybe it's a spin on that to where is created a time bubble, a bubble outside of time space. It's all technology driven to where it just negates the laws of physics inside that realm, the way that it functions inside the natural universe.
But he would have the ability to be like, he would be the strongest villain they've introduced thus far, even with even with Thanos, because Thanos wasn't that strong. I mean, he was strong, but it's the Infinity Stones which made him unbeatable. So it'd be the same thing where like Kang would be strong, but it's like his technology that's making him unbeatable. Yeah, which would be insane. Yeah. So, I mean, that's possible. That's definitely interesting. I wouldn't be mad.
Because I'm just thinking of like, why would you make Kang the
Conqueror?
Conqueror?
Watch, it's going to be completely different.
Oh, totally. Yeah, like the chances of this being right are like 1 out of like 20. Probably more than that. But, based on like the things that I'm seeing, I'm like, oh, I could see this going in that direction. It's riddled with a Wizard of Oz. I'm getting this strong Wizard of Oz.
Who's behind the curtain?
And I keep trying to wrap my head. It's like, why would you make Kang the Conqueror one of a set of 3 timekeepers?
Do you know how many episodes this season is?
I think it's 6. Is it
6?
I think it's 6.
Oh man, we're gonna be halfway through this week.
Yeah.
Oh man, was the Falcon Winter Soldier 6?
Yeah. Falcon Winter Soldier was 6 also.
Oh, wow.
Because they were hour long.
There's so many freaking shows. I don't remember how long everything is.
But I'm curious to see what you guys out in the audience think of that theory. If you're thinking something similar, if you're
I want to know what their theories are too.
Yeah, let us know what your theories are. If you think my theory is possibly on point, or if you think it's bat crap crazy, it's stupid.
I just want someone to type bat crap crazy now.
Yeah, just go ahead, just type that. Just the first one to type it 3 times in a row wins.
BCC. Just BCC.
Yeah, so I'm really curious to see where it goes, but I'm thinking that we're going to get some iteration of that type of a storyline where the TVA ends up being it's not what it seems, that there's something behind the timekeepers. And I just think there's too much of a coincidence between them keep focusing on this one singular timekeeper that happens to resemble Kang the Conqueror to some degree, and the intermediary is Ravonna Renslayer.
For sure.
Who has a well-known tie to him.
That's like the biggest thing but again, with Agnes and WandaVision, we were like, oh, Mephisto, there's a link there.
But we still might get him. There's still little teases.
And we know we're getting Kang, but it's like, are we getting him in this? I don't know. I'm like jaded from WandaVision because I'm still upset. Because I remember even the director of the series was like, oh, I think, all these theories out there, the finale is not going to be what you think it is.
Right.
So I'm like, are they taking me on this train just to be like, because I liked WandaVision, but like, I think I got in my own head, like a lot of people where because there were so many signs from the comic book standpoint where it's going to go this way or it should go this way, but it didn't, to where I'm like, and this with, like you said, Renslayer, freaking that big statue of like the timekeeper who looks like Kang behind her. It just makes all the signs are pointing.
Not completely, but there's resemblance.
There's resemblance for sure. You could easily him in disguise.
Yes.
So it's like,
and the fact that Loki,
I'm trying not to get my hopes
Loki, up. Yeah. but it's also the fact that female Loki thinks in some way, has some kind of a sense that she's going to war.
This third episode
can battle either the timekeepers themselves or is just trying to disrupt the timeline to the extent to where it blows up what the timekeepers are doing with the sacred timeline. Just the fact that a being could think that they could take that on leads me also to believe that she knows something. Again, her comment of it's not about you, and some of the other comments that have been made. How about the pen? When Mr. Mobius was in Ravonna's office and was signing off on the file.
They made it a point.
They made it
a point to like stop on
clearly
the pen
a
when
little
he was reading
Easter egg, a little hint at something. It's Franklin D. Roosevelt High School, And are you aware of what that ties back to?
No.
I was looking and I could not find.
I'm not, no.
But so I was trying to see some kind of comic book tie-in.
Right, if it means anything,
yeah,
right.
And I could not find anything because I wasn't aware of anything off the top of my head, and I couldn't find anything past that. So if it's not from comics, that means it's going to tie in somewhere because that clearly was relevant and important.
Yeah, when you do stuff like that in TV shows or movies, you don't like pause on a random object like a pen or a cup or something and for no reason.
Exactly. So my curiosity is because as we know, Kang the Conqueror is a human being.
He went to that school?
That's what I'm wondering. If that's a tie back to like he was a professor there or something he was a scientist that was a researcher. I hope they
go the Rama route though, right?
I mean, I would love that. But they're going to trace him back, I would imagine, in regular time and then follow him throughout time maybe.
Kind of like, I believe it was the second episode where they showed all the alternate versions of Loki. Remember when they were before their mission, the TVA, right. They were like showing like this Loki. He's like, no, I'm the Loki, which is funny by the way too. Where he's like, no, I'm the Loki. And like, no, this is the better Loki. He's like, no, I'm the better. Oh, this show's hilarious.
It's a really good show. But now after the second episode, that was the thing that I really enjoyed was similar to WandaVision. Mm-hmm. They're introducing enough little things where now all the speculation begins of where is this going to go.
2 episodes in, man, I'm enjoying this. I think the most out of any Marvel Disney Plus show thus far. Like this has been really fun. I mean, they've all been really good. I love them all, but this one is just, I guess, more up my alley. Just my personal taste. I'm digging more, and I'm just a fan of Loki. More so than any of the other characters that have had shows thus far. Like obviously I like Scarlet Witch and I like Vision and Winter Soldier and all that stuff. But Loki's just, I mean, he was there from the first Avengers movie. Tom Hiddleston it's just a fun character.
Could you imagine? Now this is me just thinking how the MCU plays with different things and they change things up. So we know Kang the Conqueror is a descendant of Reed Richards. Nathaniel Richards.
And Dr. Von Doom.
Or
Victor Von Doom. I said Dr. Von Doom. Doom, Victor Von Doom.
So, are they related?
Who?
Is Nathaniel Richards related to Victor Von Doom? I know that they're associated.
No, I'm saying Kang is, in the comics, said to be related to Reed Richards' dad and also Victor Von Doom.
Okay. I don't remember what their relationship is.
Who?
Their genealogy tie-in with Nathaniel Richards and Victor Von Doom.
He's just like an ancestor.
Okay. Well, anyway, point is, we know for a fact he's a descendant or a relative of Reed Richards.
Yeah, Nathaniel Richards. Yeah.
What if, instead of it being Nathaniel Richards, what if it's a variation of Reed Richards?
That'd be dope. That'd be cool.
And that's how they bring that's Mr. Fantastic in. That's
the thing with them bringing Kang the Conqueror for sure into Quantumania. It's like, and we know we're getting a Fantastic Four movie at the end of Phase 4. It's like this is all like on purpose, clearly. But it's funny though too, because like,
well, he would have to be like a future version, right? Because Nathaniel Richards he's a descendant of Reed Richards.
Yes, because Kang's from the future. That's why he goes back. He goes back in the
century.
Time.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if maybe it's like some other iteration.
But I'm curious.
Either way, it's directly tied to Reed Richards. So it's going to have something to do. That's why I keep bringing up the Fantastic Four when I'm talking about Kang, because it's going to have something to do with the appearance of the Fantastic Four.
It's funny though too, because like he's most known for like Fantastic Four, being a Fantastic Four and Avengers villain,
right? But
he's more so an Avengers villain, especially in his earlier days. Like he hated. We just went over it in our history of episode with History of Kang, where
hated
like
the Avengers.
His earlier like outings were him just so much so. Instead of bringing his love back to life, which, she died in the comic books, instead of bringing her back to life, he chose to kill the Avengers. Like, that's how much he hated the Avengers.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see, like, if that's why he's in Quantumania, because Ant-Man and Wasp, Avengers, are like, how are they going to play it? You know what I mean? Are they going to, because he's got, his heritage is linked to the Reeds, to the Richards, Reed Richards. I said the Reeds, that's his first name. To the Richards, right? To the Richards family, Fantastic Four. But also Doom, who's not in the MCU yet. So it's like,
exactly.
You could also bring him in that way.
Man, I don't know. It's so fat. I'm so curious. I'm so curious. I'm really excited because I love what they're doing with it and how they're kind of slow. It's like a slow drip, really. And with all of us knowing this is eventually going to lead to Quantumania, but also the Fantastic Four.
And this is the last live action Disney Plus show we're getting. Not the year, but for a little while here, a few months.
Yeah, for a few months.
We're going into What If right after.
That's right.
And then
Hawkeye, I think.
Hawkeye or Miss Marvel?
Well, Hawkeye was supposed to come out in the fall, but I know that production got delayed. I'm not sure if it's still on track or not. But and for sure we're getting Miss Marvel in
Moon Knight,
November, December.
Moon Knight's currently filming, I believe.
Yes, but that's not till next year.
Okay.
Along with She-Hulk and some others.
Oh, She-Hulk is next year too?
I believe so, yes.
So many, because then you get the live action stuff. You got Inhumans later this year, and then you have Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not Inhumans, Eternals.
That, yes. I said Inhumans.
You did say Inhumans, yeah. No Inhumans.
No Inhumans. No, that was tried and failed.
Yeah, that did not go well.
Although that should have got a movie like originally planned, not
Correct.
the TV series.
Absolutely.
That's probably a big reason why.
And they clearly ditched that for the Eternals.
Yes. Eternals looks cool too.
Eternals looks great.
But anyway, no shortage of Marvel for the rest of the year, that's for sure.
What did you think about the way they rolled out Loki's theory about how the alternate Loki was hiding in disasters and catastrophic events?
Oh, it was dope. That was awesome. It was really, really cool. I love how when Loki, to prove his point, when Mr. Mobius got permission from Renslayer to actually go do it,
right?
And it was like the volcano disaster. He's like, no, see, it doesn't matter. And he goes out there. He's like, I am from the future. I am Loki.
He's like, we're gonna do this in small bites.
Yeah, he's like, Loki goes he's full like, throttle.
Forget it.
He's like, I'm a sorcerer. I'm an half of Asgard. He's like, it's not gonna matter.
He goes to Mount Vesuvius. He's like, you're all about to die.
And they're monitoring as he's doing this, and nothing is changing. He's like, oh my god.
That was really cool.
He's right.
It wasn't Mount Vesuvius, was it?
I don't remember. It was a volcano natural disaster.
Oh man, I can't believe I'm forgetting the name of it. It's a huge, one of the most historic.
People unfortunately did not make it.
Now I'm just mad that I don't remember the name.
You're gonna look it up.
Volcano disasters.
Loki.
Pompeii.
Well, there we go. Now we know.
Yeah.
And that makes us smarter. We're better for it.
So they go back to Pompeii.
I always think it's funny. I always think of the people like listening. They're like, it's this. They're probably yelling at us while we're currently like Googling it.
Yeah, so they go back to Pompeii and they get right in the middle and they're like, oh, Loki just goes around basically screaming, you're all about to die and there's nothing you can do about it. It's pretty terrible, actually.
Especially since that was a real thing that happened when you think about it. It's like, you know, it's a show, but I'm like, that was a real thing. People died.
Yeah, everyone died.
Yeah.
But it shows that his theory was correct. He has this whole theory. It's like you can go and that this Loki can hide and he can literally do whatever he or she wants. Well, at the time they thought it was a he. You can do whatever he wants, and it will not change the timeline whatsoever because the disaster wipes it all clean.
So anything you do before it doesn't matter anymore.
Exactly. And that event proves it true. So I'm curious how they're going to play with that because obviously that's going to play a role as this rolls out because now Loki knows that too.
This time travel stuff is like, it's really funny because you always have the people try. I remember when Endgame came out, people were trying to contradict it because it, you know, there's real theories and stuff on that and scientists and stuff like that who really try to crack it and prove it and stuff. So it's funny like to see, but people are like, no, because that would create this loop and this wouldn't work. It's one of those things where like as a creator, I'm like, I don't know if I ever want to talk about time travel because that's a wormhole. It's like
it really is.
It's like you say this, I say that, but no one's proved it. So how do you know?
Exactly. That's very true. Very true.
But yeah, that was Loki episode 2.
And
we clearly liked it. I'm excited. What are we 2 days away from the episode 3?
Yeah, just a few days here.
I'm excited.
And I'm super stoked. I'm like with every episode, it's just as good or better, and it's got me hooked.
Yes,
100%. Sure. As you can tell by all of the theorizing and everything, we actually aren't going to even have time to get to Venom 200 today.
No,
which is a big,
we had on the agenda.
Comic.
We had it on the agenda to talk about Venom 200.
Yeah, but we will definitely do that on the next episode
because it's the finale of Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman's epic Venom run, and it sets up a whole new status quo for Venom. I know you like that happens like almost every other day. It feels like in comics, but it's
still a new era.
It's a new era, but also it was the end to an awesome run. So it's not like, you know, it was a widely loved run that ended very well and now set, you know, this thing up for the next creative team, which we'll talk about next week. We don't want to spoil it yet.
Yeah.
If you read it, you know. If you haven't, you have to wait.
And the next episode, maybe, just maybe, either this next episode or the episode following, we may be returning to video.
We may be returning to video. But you know what? I just thought of it right now. I was thinking about it because I'm looking at it because we are on the set. Our variant logo that we have.
Yes.
It lights up. We've told people it lights up. The great people at Rock Your Wall, which you found on Instagram, made it for us, custom made, and it lights up LEDs. So we cannot return without that lighting up, Tim.
It may or may not light up.
No, it has to light up.
Well,
we can't go back to video until it lights up.
I will not make this promise.
No, we'll get people. We'll get people to do it. We'll get that because get it into the.
Well, we'll see because we also have to see. We are going to have a brand new camera setup actually when we return.
That's what I'm saying.
So
If we're coming back and we're revamping, we're doing new cameras, all this stuff, we could light this sucker up.
Well, yeah, it's gonna matter.
It's like Fallout Boy. Light it up. Light it up. You're on fire.
We will probably be able to get it lit on some level. It's just going to be a matter of how does it look on screen.
Tim, we got people now, Tim.
We do have.
We got people. We got a new person in the office. We got people, Tim, who could rig this for us.
We are going to be returning, and it is going to be glorious. And I am excited about that. I'm excited for you guys to see our faces again. And we're excited to see your faces again. So,
do you think they're excited to see our faces again, though? That's the real question.
I know some of them are. We've been getting lots of, when are you guys coming back to video? Well, it's about to happen.
Oh, they like our faces.
I know, ugly as they are.
I know. They're like, oh, you're so ugly, you're cute.
But we're going to be, we're actually going to be getting back into full swing with the podcast on the video and the audio. We're going to be doing breakouts once again, where we're going to be breaking these podcasts out into smaller bite-sized portions for you guys.
Some would say Joe Rogan style, because let's face it, he's the most popular podcast on the planet.
Yeah, but we're going to be doing some fun new things. We're going to do, we're lining up some new interviews and so forth. And like I said, or like we talked about earlier, some of that is going to be with the Astonishing Times.
I was going to say, we'll get Frank in here.
Yep. So it's going to be
his mug on camera.
We got some fun stuff coming. So
you hear that, Frank? If you listen to our podcast, I don't even know if you listen to the podcast. You should, but
you freaking better.
Getting you on here.
It's coming. It's coming.
All right, guys. But with that said, we'll see you next time when we talk about all things comics.